Hello, Empower Nation. Welcome back to Empower Her Money podcast. I am your host, Angela Duncan, and I have something to admit and be vulnerable with you today. I'm probably most nervous for this interview than I have been since I've started, because this amazing woman I've been following for quite some time, and the fact that she's giving her time back to all of us today, I'm so excited, but also really nervous. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So Veena Jetti, she's the founding partner of Vive Funds, over $1 billion in real estate transactions, and want to just provide value to the audience today. And I'm so excited to see you and hear from you today. I have to tell you a quick story too. I've been following you for a little bit, and I had a chance to meet you very briefly at Pace Morby event here in Miami. Yes. And like your energy and your heart in person, I think that just blew me away, because, you know, you can follow someone and see them on video, but when you meet them in person and you are truly that person in person. Yeah. I love that. So thank you.
Thank you for saying that. I love it. This was like the best intro anyone has ever given me on a podcast.
Aww.
But I have to say, like, don't be nervous. It's just me, little old me. I am like very much a dork, and people don't know this about me. They think I'm going to be like so fancy and extra. And I'm like, tell me a dad joke.
Awesome. Well, you have an incredible backstory. So let's start there and kind of how your journey began.
Yeah. So do you want me to start like way at the beginning, all the way back? All right, let's do it. Okay. So I'm Veena Jetti. I am the owner of Vive Funds. We're a large multifamily owner operator, and we typically target large Class B value add assets. And like you said, this month we're crossing the $1 billion mark in transactions. So we've bought and sold $1 billion in our portfolio now, which is crazy. But I didn't start there. I wish I did, but I did not start there. So I actually come from a very successful real estate mother who ran a real estate business for my family growing up. You know, it's what we were kind of entrenched in. And then I graduated from undergrad with my degree in finance. I was 20 years old, and my mom was like, great, you can come work for the family business. And I was like, Mom, I'm an adult. I have a degree. I don't need to work for you. I'm going to do something totally different. And so I went and I worked in the corporate world and in corporate real estate, and made a lot of money for big companies. You know, I worked at some of the largest companies. And in 2012, my husband and I got married, and then we paid taxes as a married couple. And that was definitely shocking, because we were both, you know, earning on W-2s, and it's not very tax friendly. Like, this country is built for business owners, not for W-2 earners and employees. And so we paid taxes married, and I call my mom, I'm like, Mom, I don't know what just happened. Like, this is crazy, because single, I didn't pay as much in taxes, but married to him, I did. And so anyway, Mom was like, you should quit your job and just start investing in real estate. And I was like, yeah, okay, that seems legit. And so I quit my job and started investing for myself, bought single family homes, quickly realized that, one, I did not love it. And two, there's no way to scale. I could not find a path to get to like 10,000 units. But I loved residential real estate. And so multifamily was like kind of the natural path of progression for me, because it was the best of both worlds. It was the best of residential, and then the best of the scale that I wanted in commercial. And so that's how I really started in multifamily investing. And, you know, since then we, you know, bought and sold a couple of buildings.
Just a couple.
Just a few.
Yeah. Awesome. And you have this incredible community now that you give back so much to as well.
I love our Facebook community. It is one of the best things I've ever done. And, you know, everyone thinks I'm really excited about crossing $1 billion, which I am excited for, but it's nowhere near as fulfilling to me as seeing like what's happening with all of the people that participate in the group that we're building and the community we're building, and just seeing like everybody help each other and get their first deals and like take that next step in their business. Like, that is so much more exciting to me than reaching this other like arbitrary milestone.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about today is, we're in this space, and I think with TV and television shows, real estate investing and these conferences, they make it seem so glamorous and fun. But
Yes.
if you've never done it before, it can be scary,
Yeah,
So can you
it is
talk
scary.
about, maybe give some advice to newer real estate investors on some mistakes that you've seen be like made over the years? What would you advise them?
Oh, I have not just seen them being made. I have made all the mistakes. Yeah, so there's a lot of things, and you're right. There's a lot of glitz and glamour, right? A lot of times these are just like marketing that looks really good and seems really cool and is very exciting. And it's hard for me because sometimes I'm watching these ads, or like when Pace Morby speaks, I'm like, oh, I definitely have to quit doing what I'm doing and buy single family with creative finance or sub two, because they're just such compelling and powerful speakers that like it inspires something in you. And there is risk in this. And I think it's disingenuous to assume that everybody is going to do this and be successful at it, because the reality is it's hard, and it is not meant for people who are not willing to work really hard. And it's a lot of work. It's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and you need a lot of grit. But if you can push past that, it is so incredible on the other side. And that I can guarantee you is once you get through that initial hump and you start doing it, it is like a drug. You will be addicted to doing deals and like finding that next deal. Right.
Yep.
So I would say, here's the first thing. 90% of this game is comprised of two things. One, mindset. Most people don't think they can ever do these deals. So it's mindset followed by showing up. Like you have to show up so much more than you will ever have to show up for any W-2 job that you have.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do that. That's what I think makes it challenging. Like, Angela, don't you always want to like quit your job in these really hard moments, or your business? Like you're like, oh, I just want to quit and just go work for someone else when you're in these like really tough moments, right?
Yes. Yes.
That sounds like such a good idea 80% of the time that I'm doing things. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to quit. And then I wake up the next day and I do it again. So it's like a lot of grit and a lot of perseverance. But those two things, the good news is anybody can have those things. And you don't have to have a real estate family or money or an education or any of those things. Those things can be learned. They can be trained. They are muscles that can be exercised. But those two are easily the biggest secrets that everybody overlooks.
Yeah. Yeah. And just because you've been through one conference or read one book does not make you an expert. So continue that investing in yourself for more education.
Yeah. And I love that you said that too, because people don't believe this about me, but I've never paid for a mastermind or a mentorship. Never.
Wow.
Okay, see, you say wow because people think it's impressive what I've done without having paid for that. It is the single biggest mistake I've ever made, because I am confident I've lost tens of millions of dollars from not realizing what the power of those rooms were. And I didn't realize it early enough. So yeah, I left corporate America in 2012, and now in 2023, we're crossing the $1 billion in transactions. But if I had those rooms, who knows when I would have done it? I probably would have done it like 10 years earlier, and we would be celebrating 10 billion this year. Right. So it's like, yes, I've been able to accomplish it without doing that, but man, it is the scenic route. It is the long route, the mentorships, the masterminds, the VIP sections. That's the easy button. People always ask me, what's the easy button? I'm like, this is the easy button. And actually there's several pieces of footage of me out there being like, no, I would never pay for that. And then it was from years ago. I said a mini podcast, and now I'm like, oh, I was a total idiot. And I really didn't know what I was missing out on, because now I'm in those rooms and I'm there because I've earned my seat at the table, right? Like I've done the sweat equity to get there. But man, I see people that are just starting out that are in those rooms, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you are going to get to $1 billion way before I could have ever thought it was possible.
Yeah, I'm a huge believer in investing because not only the opportunity, yes, that are in the rooms, but I have a 20-year-old daughter and I feel like I want to be a role model for her.
Yes.
But now that I have the ability to buy the ticket for her to be
Mhm.
there,
Oh,
she's going to start so much earlier and
yes,
learn from mistakes that other people have done that I can't necessarily
100%.
teach her. But I do believe in
100%.
investing. But I did. So I was just at a conference with her and I brought her and I
Yeah.
bought the big ticket because I wanted to put her with the biggest
Yeah. Of
people, you know. And
course.
then, yeah. And then she's like, okay, well, can I go to the next one? And I said, absolutely. The ticket's this amount of money and you can
Yeah.
sit in the back of the room and earn your way up. Like I want to show you where you can go, but I'm
Yeah.
not going to just give it to you. Like you have to
Yes.
fish, right? You
I
know?
love that. I
Yeah.
love that because I do that with my kids too. I'm like, okay, how are you going to pay for it? And they're 4, so like they're still very dependent on me, but I don't want them to think that just because they were like they won the birth lottery, they get to do things. Like,
Right.
no,
Right.
this is the life you have right now because I worked for this life and daddy worked for this life.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're older, like you can have this life and I want you to taste how good it is because I want to work so hard to get this life and maintain this lifestyle.
Right. It's like I'm going to open the door, but you're going to do the
Yeah,
work to walk through it.
exactly. I love
Yeah.
that.
Awesome. Awesome. So talk a little bit more about your community. I actually just closed a deal today with Victor, who I met. Yeah. So, you know, and that's another thing I love about your community is because I trust you. And
Yeah.
so it helps for me to trust the others. Now, obviously do
Yeah.
your due diligence, make sure
Yes,
everything, yeah.
please.
Yeah. Don't just say yes to anybody.
Yes.
And have good attorneys and make sure your paperwork is good.
Yes. Yes.
um,
Yes.
but
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So how did you start that? And then kind of where do you see that going forward?
Oh gosh. Okay. So I started it because Pace Morby basically planted and watered the seed for months. Every day he'd be like, Veena, when you have your community, and I was like, Pace, I see what you're doing. I'm not going to have a community. He's like, yes, you are. And then he would just pretend like I didn't even have any objections or didn't say anything about it. He'd just be like, yes, you are. And then he'd just keep talking as if I didn't say no. And one day, it was October, I was like, maybe I should just see. Like I'm somebody that really likes to try things and see what works, see what doesn't. I was like, okay, what is the worst that happens if it doesn't work out? I just stop and then nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? So like basically end of October, beginning of November 2022, I was like, all right, I'm going to launch this. And one day I just woke up and I went to Facebook and I created the Mastering Multifamily with Veena Jetti group. And I don't remember how many people were in it the first day. There was maybe like 10 people. And I was like, okay, that's cool. I can hang out with 10 people. And then people started like inviting people. And I had no screening mechanisms back then. And I think Victor was one of the first people in there. And he's great. I mean, he's just a good human all around. And he's like so helpful. And he's like always trying to like help someone else be better. And that's really the spirit of what I wanted to create.
Mm-hmm.
And what I also wanted to create was something a little bit different than what you normally see. Because there's all these Facebook groups. And so many of them, it's like the admins posting and posting and posting and posting and posting. And I'm like, I don't want it to be a group where I'm just yelling to you or speaking at you, right? I wanted it to be something where we interact with each other. And initially it was all me. Like nobody would post, nobody would respond. It was all me. And then I decided, so December 21st, somebody canceled, like a couple of people canceled meetings with me because, it's Christmas, like nobody's working, everyone's like, whatever. And I was like, okay, I wake up in the morning, it's 7:00. I'm like, all right, I have like a couple hours here. Let me see who wants to network, like COVID style Zoom networking, right? Because I'm like, didn't have anything planned. I can use it for something else. Let me try this out. So I post in the group. I'm like, hey, it's 7:00 in the morning. I'm like, at 10:30 a.m., I'm going to be on this Zoom link. And if anyone's around, like join me and, introduce yourself. We'll network. It'll be great. And I was fully prepared for it to be just me sitting on a Zoom call. And then I was like, okay, then I'll just do work while I'm on Zoom and kind of like office hours. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
college office hours. So I get on the Zoom at 10:30. And at 10:33, I am getting texts and emails and calls, like my sister's calling me. How come I can't get into the Zoom? Because 100 people had joined the Zoom.
Oh, wow.
In 3 minutes. And I was like, I'm sure the footage is in there. I'm like, what is happening right now? Like, what is going on? And the worst part of it is I'm showing up thinking no one's going to come. So I have like nothing prepared, and everybody shows up and they're like,
just staring at you.
Like, we're ready to learn. And I was like, okay. And so I just started talking. I don't even remember what the subject was, but I just started talking about something. And I like talked about this topic for like 2 hours. And I was like, wow, that was so rewarding because so many people got something valuable out of that. And then, I asked for feedback and everyone was like, well, you could be more organized. You could be more structured. I was like, I know, but I had no idea all of you would be available with 3 hours notice.
Right.
So then I was like, okay, let me try it again. And so 2 days later, I do it again. And I don't give anyone warning. I just post and I'm like, okay, we're getting on in like 3 hours. Again, the same thing happened because I thought it was like a fluke, I thought it was just an accident that everyone was available. And since then, we've always had people join. There's been like one call where we got like 85 and that was it. But every other call, it's like 100 people join because it's free for the first 100 people that join. And I don't have any kind of like paywall or anything like that. And I think you'll appreciate this. The reason I do that is because I think paywalls really disproportionately affect women and minorities. And I don't want to contribute to that problem. So I'm like, look, you come, if you're there like 10 minutes early or on time, you'll probably get it.
Yeah.
And,
but that's what you said is like, you got to show up.
Yeah. You have to show up. And it is literally the lowest hanging fruit to show up for that.
Right.
And, we started doing like multifamily strolls. I don't like to call them hikes or walks because I'm not a hiker or like a big like runner or anything. So it's a stroll. And we do that here in DFW. And, the first time we did it, again, I posted with zero notice, like the night before, and we had like 10, 12, 15 people show up and it was so much fun. But I'm like, I know that if I posted this a week ahead of time, there would have been over 100 people here. But the people that actually showed up got so much out of it. We walk to Starbucks, we grab a drink, and then we walk back. And like, that's our thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's awesome. And I love the Facebook community you've created because there's deals happening. It's not just, people asking questions, but they're presenting different deals and they're looking for an attorney or a private money lender. Yes. And we're doing transactions together. Like you're bringing people together to create wealth. And that's just, that's how we give back. We take our information and we pay it forward.
Multiply. Yes. That is like the best part about what I do, for hands down.
Awesome. So I have a fun question for you as we start wrapping up the show. Yeah. If you had a superpower or super talent, what would it be and why would you pick it?
Oh, okay. This is a really hard one because I want to be able to do all the things. I want to say, and I'll tell you why I'm hesitant about it, but I want to say I would really love the ability to read people's minds. But I think that that's like a double-edged sword a little bit. Like, maybe we don't want to know how you really feel about me, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe it would be like the ability to teleport and like, just show up in locations. Or I'm just going to pick all the superpowers, apparently. Maybe like the ability to be invisible would be kind of cool. But that feels sneaky, actually. I don't think I'd be good at that.
Yeah, I like the teleport idea because you're in Texas and I see you guys get together and I have FOMO, but I can't just hop on a plane and get there tomorrow. So I will make it eventually.
Yeah, eventually. But yeah, if you could teleport, it would just cut down on so much. For me, I'd want to teleport because then I could like be where I need to be and then hop home, put the kids back like to bed, say goodnight or have dinner with them and then go back to what I need to do like so easily.
Right.
So for me, like that's why I would think I would teleport. I think that's the one.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time today. If our audience wants to get in touch with you, learn more about what you're doing or invest with you, how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah. So you can obviously hang out in the Facebook group with me. I spend way more time in there than anybody who runs any kind of a company should, but I just love it. Mastering Multifamily with Veena Jetti. or you can find me on all socials as Veena Jetti, VeenaJetti. And investing, you can go to our company website, Vive Funds, VIVEFUNDS.com.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate your time today.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. That was another episode of Empower Her Money. I'm Angela Duncan, and hopefully you wrote down all of those nuggets and you join the Facebook community and start building that generational wealth.